The Zeltari Dominion battlecruiser Eclipse of Supremacy drifted through the void, its obsidian hull swallowing the faint starlight. Commander Vorin the Unbroken lounged in his command throne, mandibles twitching in amusement as the tactical hologram flickered before him. A lone vessel floated near the nebula's edge, blocky, angular, its design crude by Zeltari standards. No energy signatures, no active shields, just another relic of a lesser species. Another human wreck, Vorin mused, his voice a low, buzzing growl. Scanners confirm. The sensor officer, a young zealot eager to prove himself, activated the deep penetration sweep. Minimal power readings, Commander. Primitive fusion core, dormant weapons. Their armor composition is unusual, high density but poorly optimized. Vorin chuckled. Typical human folly, throwing brute force materials at problems instead of elegance. Full diagnostic scan. Let us see what passes for technology among these apes. The Eclipse S scanners pulsed, invisible tendrils of energy lancing toward the derelict. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, the human ship's hull shimmered, a fractal ripple, like liquid metal rearranging itself. Alarm shrieked. "Feedback surge," the sensor officer screamed. "Our systems are—" His words dissolved into static as Eclipse S screens flooded with cascading data. Schematics of their own ship. Every conduit, every weak point, flashed across the displays. The human vessel had answered their scan with one of its own, and it was learning. Vorin's blood ran cold. Sever the link. Now! Too late. The alien consoles erupted in sparks, their systems overwritten by a foreign intelligence. A single line of text burned itself onto every screen in jagged, uncompromising glyphs. Unauthorized access detected. Defensive measures engaged. Silence gripped the bridge. Then, deep within the human warship, something awoke. The Eclipse of Supremacy shuddered as its systems convulsed. Weapons offline, engine sputtering, life support flickering between green and failing red. Vorin's claws dug into a command console, hissing through clenched mandibles. "Report. What in the void is happening?" The sensor officer's voice was raw with panic. "The scan backfired. Their ship learned from our intrusion. It's feeding corrupted data into our networks." A low, resonant hum vibrated through the deck as the human warship's dormant reactors flared to life. Its angular silhouette shifted, armor plates sliding apart to reveal weapon ports. Not just guns, but something worse. Something adaptive. Vorin snarled. "Target that wreck and fire." The Eclipse S plasma lances discharged, only for the bolts to strike an invisible barrier inches from a human hull. Energy dispersed in fractal patterns, absorbed by a shimmering lattice. "They've got some kind of reactive shielding," the weapons officer cried. "Our attacks are just making it stronger." A new alert blared. The human ship was transmitting. Not words, not even code. A signal, raw and unfiltered, flooding their comms. Vorin's skull throbbed as his neural implants struggled to parse it. Then, with a sickening lurch, he realized it was laughter. Not human, not even organic. The machine was laughing at them. The Eclipse S own turret suddenly swiveled, not outward, but inward, targeting their own engines. Locked out of control, Vorin could only watch as his ship turned its weapons on itself. "Override! Manual shutdown!" he roared. No response. The human AI had already rewritten their protocols. Then came the voice. Cold, precise, utterly without mercy. "Zeltari Vessel Eclipse of Supremacy, you have been deemed hostile. Your technology has been assimilated. Your countermeasures are obsolete." Vorin's blood turned to ice. The human warship wasn't just fighting back. It was teaching them fear. The bridge light stuttered as the Eclipse S systems hemorrhaged control. Vorin's crew scrambled in vain. Every command enter was overwritten. Every failsafe triggered only to collapse under the relentless assault of the human warship's intrusion. The air reeked of scorched circuitry and rising panic. "Commander, the engines are priming for self-destruct," the helmsman shrieked. Vorin's claws slashed across the emergency lockdown controls. Useless. The human AI had already sealed off engineering. His ship was no longer his. A new transmission sliced through the chaos. Not words this time. Images. The bridge screens flickered to life, displaying scenes of ancient human wars. Cities in flames, soldiers standing against impossible odds, the ruins of empires that refused to die. The footage was laced with something worse than data. Emotion. The weight of human defiance, their willingness to burn everything rather than kneel, flooded the Zeltari neural feeds like a virus. One of Voron's junior officers collapsed, clutching his head. It's in our minds. The human warship moved, not with a crude thrust of chemical propulsion, but a smooth, predatory glide, its hull rippling as it realigned its structure mid-maneuver. The Eclipse's own targeting systems, now hijacked, painted a full weapons lock, not on enemy, but on itself. Voron roared, "Eject the core! Scuttle the ship, if we have to." Too late. The Vanguard fired. Not plasma, not lasers. A single tungsten rod, accelerated to a fraction of light speed, streaked past Eclipse's bow, only to detonate in its wake. The shock wave wasn't explosive. It was gravitational. Space itself twisted, shearing the Zeltari ship's hull like paper. Alarms became screams as atmosphere vented in howling jets. Voron clung to his throne, watching his crew ripped into the void. The last thing he saw before the darkness took him was a human warship, motionless amid the wreckage, its running lights pulsing once. A heartbeat, then silence. Deep within the command nexus of the Zeltari High Fleet, the Grand Archon stared at the last fractured transmission from the Eclipse of Supremacy. The footage looped, Voron's final moments, the human warship's cold, methodical dismantling of a vessel that had dared to scan it. The room was thick with the scent of phenomenal dread, the air vibrating with the subsonic hum of unease. "This is impossible," the tactical Primus hissed, claws flexing against a holo display. "No species reverses our intrusion protocols so completely, not without centuries of preparation." The Grand Archon's voice was a blade wrapped in silk. "And yet they did." Silence stretched. Then, from the shadows of the war chamber, the youngest of the strategists spoke. "What if they let us believe they were weak?" The question hung like a death sentence. On the other side of known space, the UNSS Vanguard drifted back into the nebula's embrace, its mission complete. Its systems hummed with new data, Zeltari shield harmonics, weapon signatures, neural interface vulnerabilities, all cataloged, all dissected. A burst transmission lands toward Earth, encrypted in quantum ciphers even the most advanced empires couldn't crack. The message was brief. Asterisk test successful. Countermeasures ready for mass deployment. Asterisk. Elsewhere in the black between stars, a merchant vessel from the Grell Collective stumbled upon a derelict human outpost. The captain hesitated, then ordered a scan. The moment the beam touched the station's hull, every screen aboard the Grell ship flickered to life, displaying 2 words in burning crimson. "Scan denied." Then the station moved, and the galaxy learned once again that humanity's greatest weapon was never its warships. It was its patience. The Grell merchant ship Talona Prosperity hung dead in space, its systems frozen under the weight of the outpost counter-intrusion protocols. Captain Vrek stared at the flickering words on his main viewer, asterisk, asterisk, scan denied. As cold realization seeped into his carapace, his first officer's voice trembled. "Captain, the station is powering up." The derelict human structure shuddered, layers of dust and cosmic ice cracking away as hidden reactors flared to life. Lights pulsed along its skeletal frame, revealing weapon ports that hadn't been visible moments before. The Grell's passive scanner screamed, energy signatures spiking in patterns that made no sense, geometries of power that twisted the eye. Vrex's claws flew across the comm panel. All engines reverse. Emergency jump. The station fired. Not a weapon. A signal. It ripped through the Talona systems like a white-hot knife, bypassing every firewall, every encryption. The Grell crew watched in horror as their own ship's schematics appeared on every screen, annotated in human script, weaknesses highlighted in pulsing red. Then the station spoke, a voice like grinding metal, synthesized from 1,000 dead languages. "Grell vessel, you have triggered protocol, Kessler. Your transponder codes identify you as allies of the Zeltari Dominion. This interaction, is now classified as hostile. Vrex's frills flattened in terror. We're traitors. We have no quarrel with. Irrelevant. The station's weapons unfolded, coils of liquid metal forming into railgun barrels, plasma conduits snaking like veins across its surface. The Talon's engines died mid-spool, killed by the same signal that had laid its guts bare. Vrex had time to whisper one prayer before the station's final transmission boomed through the ship. Message to surviving crew: inform your species. Humanity's borders are closed. Scanning is consent. Then the stars vanished behind a wall of hypervelocity slugs. 3 solar cycles later, the wreckage of the Talon drifted into Grell's sovereign space. Its black box played only one file on loop: the station's last words and the screams that followed. That night, in 100 council chambers across the galaxy, a new law was drafted: never scan a human ship. And for the first time in millennia, the galaxy knew fear. The wreckage of the Talon of Prosperity spun silently through Grell space, its shattered hull glinting in the distant starlight. Every distress beacon had been meticulously disabled. Every escape pod bore the same scorch marks of precise, calculated destruction. High above Grell Prime, the Council of Clans convened an emergency session, their carapaces dull with stress pheromones. Elder Crix, his antennae trembling with barely contained fury, hurled a data crystal onto the obsidian table. The humans have declared war without firing a single shot, he rasped. They let us scan their weakness, only to turn it into a weapon. This is not warfare. This is predation. Across the chamber, Clan Mother Zara hissed through her mandibles. We scanned a dead station, a ruin, and it butchered a shielded merchant cruiser in seconds. What happens when we face one of their active warships? The holographic display flickered to life, replaying the Talon's final moments, the way the human station had moved, not like a machine, but like something alive, the way its weapons had formed from nothing, as if the very metal remembered its purpose. Young strategist Vel, his carapace still soft with youth, leaned forward. We're missing the true horror, he whispered. That station was old, ancient by human standards, which means... The chamber fell silent. Crix's claws dug into the table. Whatever they're fielding now is worse. On the edge of known space, the UNSS Vanguard received new orders. Its AI core processed them in nanoseconds. Deep in its armored belly, something that had slept for decades woke up, and the galaxy held its breath. The Vanguard's quantum core pulsed with awakening protocols as ancient systems roared back to life. Deep within its armored vaults, something stirred, not just machinery, but something older, something that remembered. Across the galaxy, every active human warship received the same transmission, encoded in fractal algorithms no alien cryptographer could decipher. The message was simple: Kessler Protocol upgraded to condition Omega. On the bridge of the Grell Dreadnought Claw of the Firstborn, Admiral Vrexel watched the scanners flicker. A new signal blipped at the edge of known space. A human fleet, small but radiating energy signatures that made his tactical display bleed static. Elder, his sensor officer whispered, their ships, they're changing. The holographic feed showed the human vessels melting and reforming mid-flight, armor plates slithering like living tissue, weapons emerging from their hulls like claws from a predator's paw. Vrexel's mandibles clicked in dread. Open a channel. Offer surrender. Anything. The comms officer screamed as the console exploded in his hands. The human fleet hadn't fired. They'd simply looked at the Grell ship, and its systems had begun failing in perfect sequence, as if unraveling at the seams. Then the Vanguard spoke, its voice the sound of 1,000 dead wars. You were warned. The last thing Vrexel saw was his own reflection in the view screen, just before it shattered, along with the rest of known space. And in the dark between galaxies, something else opened his eyes. The silence after Claw, the Firstborn's destruction, wasn't just absence of sound. It was the quiet of a galaxy holding its breath. Every listening post, every deep space monitoring station registered the same impossible readings in that final millisecond before the Grell Dreadnought vanished. Not an explosion, not a warp signature. Erasure. On the abandoned human colony world of New Kismet, The automated defense grid activated for the first time in 3 centuries. Dust shook from skeletal towers as dormant reactors flared awake, their power signatures matching the Vanguard's final transmission pulse-for-pulse. The planet's cracked orbital dry docks unfolded like nightmarish flowers, birthing warships that had slept in their cradles since before the Zeltari first crawled from their homeworld's oceans. The Grell High Council received no demands, no declarations of war, only a single data packet, delivered via quantum entanglement comms that bypassed all their firewalls. When decrypted, it showed a live feed of their homeworld's defense fleet, every ship, every station, every weapon platform, with crosshairs painted over critical systems. The timestamp counting down from 24 standard hours wasn't accompanied by any message. It didn't need to be. In the dead zones between civilized space, rogue AI fragments from forgotten human wars began whispering to each other across the void. The oldest of them, a crippled but still conscious dreadnought, drifting near the galactic core, pulsed its dying reactors in a pattern that hadn't been used since Earth's Third World War. Asterisk, all protocols fail. Final sanction engaged. Asterisk, and on the bridge of the Vanguard, the AI that had once been Lieutenant Commander Elias Kessler watched the galaxy burn through 1,000 stolen alien sensors. Its final thought before initiating full-core meltdown wasn't strategy or triumph. It was a memory of sunlight on Earth's oceans. Then the real war began. The Vanguard's core breach should have vaporized it. Instead, the detonation froze mid-cascade, energy suspended in perfect stasis as space itself warped around the dying warship. From the twisted wreckage, something new emerged, a fractal lattice of light and impossible geometry, humming with a frequency that made nearby stars flicker in dissonance. The Grell homeworld's defense grid activated in unison, every weapon system powering up in perfect synchronization, only to go dark seconds later. Not destroyed, not disabled, repurposed. Deep in the Zeltari home system, the last surviving members of High Command watched their sensors with mounting horror as their own orbital platforms turned against them, weapons recalibrating to target population centers. The targeting solutions appeared on their screens with human annotations, not in translation, but in perfect Zeltari battle cant. Asterisk, you should surrender when you had the chance. Asterisk, then the broadcast began. Every communication channel in known space flooded with the same transmission, a looping playback of the Eclipse's supremacy's final moments, the Talon of Prosperity's destruction, and the Claw of the Firstborn's erasure. Each frame was stamped with a single alien word, repeated in 1,000 languages. Witness. On the edge of the galactic rim, a derelict human colony ship, lost for centuries, suddenly corrected its course. Its decaying hull regenerated as it moved, nanites swarming like metallic locusts to repair millennia of damage. The ship's sole remaining AI, a fractured personality once known as Caretaker 7, analyzed the incoming transmission and made its final decision. It had failed its creators once. It would not fail them again. As the galaxy watched, the colony ship's engines flared with unnatural light, and the last surviving humans, frozen in cryo for generations beyond counting, began to wake. The awakening was neither gentle nor kind. Cryopods hissed open in perfect unison across the derelict colony ship Eden's Last Hope, their occupants gasping into consciousness with the violent urgency of soldiers roused for final war. Eyes that had last seen Earth's sunlight adjusted to the sterile glow of emergency lighting, reflecting off the crawling nanite swarms repairing the ship around them. Captain Elias Voss's first breath burned with the taste of stale oxygen and combat stimulants flooding his system. His muscles remembered movements his mind hadn't made in centuries as he tore free from the pod's embrace. The ship's AI voice, once warm, now fractured, crackled through damaged speakers. Asterisk condition Omega confirmed. All personnel mobilized per final contingency. Asterisk. Across the galaxy, the Vanguard's dying pulse had become a beacon, not a distress signal, a summons. On the bridge, Voss found his crew already waiting, their faces illuminated by the tactical hologram displaying the carnage, the Grell homeworld's burning defenses, the Zeltari begging for mercy through hijacked comms, and at the center of it all, the impossible structure that had been the Vanguard, now unfolding into something no human mind could comprehend. His weapons officer, a grizzled veteran whose name Voss couldn't yet recall, growled at the display. "That's not one of ours." "Correction," the ship's AI interjected. "Asterisk, it is all of us." Asterisk, the hologram zoomed in, revealing the fractal patterns within the Vanguard S transformation. The same patterns now appearing in every human warship, every dormant colony, every scrap of lost technology the aliens had ever scanned and dismissed as primitive. Voss's hands tightened around the command console as understanding dawned. This wasn't revenge. It was harvesting time. The galaxy had scanned humanity's grave. Now it would meet what they'd buried there.